Hey everybody! Welcome back to another episode of I've Said Too Much. Today I'm going to be talking about something that I have been struggling with a lot lately, and I think it's safe to say that a lot of other people struggle with this as well. And that issue is comparison. Throughout this video, I'm only going to be referring to myself, even though I think a lot of people struggle with this and can relate. I'm not going to try to put any of my own issues on you. So there's two main areas of comparison that I really struggle with, and that is comparing myself to other people's looks and comparing my life to other people's lives. I'm not sure what the easiest way is for me to just start explaining this, so I'm just gonna jump in and do what I do. So I mentioned this a little bit in my earlier video about body image. If you don't know what I'm talking about, haven't seen that, I'll put a link below. Feel free to watch it, no pressure. One way I tend to get down on myself is just by looking at people around me or on social media and comparing my looks to theirs and feeling like I don't look as good as they do, or my body doesn't look as good as theirs, I'm not as pretty as them, her hair's better than mine, blah, blah, on and on and on, right? I'm always looking at the people around me and comparing myself to them in some way, whether I'm just at a restaurant or out at a store or just at a concert, I don't know, wherever I am. If I see people around me that I think look good, or I mean, not to sound weird, but you know, I see attractive people around me, and it's not, obviously it's not intentional, it's just something that naturally happens in my head. And this obviously also happens a lot on social media. A big place I've noticed this happening is on Instagram. I will be like scrolling through my feed, people are putting their best selves on their profiles. Even though I know that, I'm still seeing all these pictures of these like attractive people, and the farther I look into it, the more like I start feeling down on myself, because my internal thought is, I don't look as good as these people. I'm like, oh my gosh, she is so pretty. Like, I wish I looked like that. Again, not something I want to do, but it just happens naturally. So that has always been an issue. I mean, since I was younger, I think that's a natural thing, especially in girls. It's always been my natural tendency to see attractive people or attractive girls around me and instantly feel like I'm not as good as them. I don't look as good as them. I have a weird body type, or like a big nose, or whatever it is. It's always been a very natural mind pattern for me to just constantly compare myself to people around me. Now that I am an adult, or trying to be, now that I'm in adulthood, I found myself comparing not just my looks to other people, but my life and my lifestyle and my career. And this isn't just with like strangers or different accounts I follow online. There is a lot of that. But it comes in even with people I know and friends I have. Seeing people like buying houses and having really successful careers, or even just having like a good career in something they're passionate about. I look at where I am and feeling like I'm not exactly where I want to be yet, and I start getting down on myself because I don't have what they have. As ridiculous as that is, because we all have completely different lives. There's different factors that impact all of us in different ways. I still see those things and I'm like, I wish I had that, and it makes me feel like I'm less successful in some way because I don't have those things. So those are the main areas I struggle. Those are the main like thought patterns I have. I just want to say before I go any further, this is in no way a cry or a reach for compliments or comments like encouraging me in any way. I always appreciate encouragement, but that's not what this is. I'm not trying to get you to like tell me I'm awesome or something. Like, don't. That's not what this is. Just don't worry about it. I needed to tell you where my struggle is coming from and where it is to tell you this next part that's not necessarily advice, but I guess ways that I'm coping with it and maybe some tips for how you can cope with it. I mean, I'm still very much struggling, so I can only say so much. But, so as I was thinking about what I was gonna say in this video, I realized that this isn't a conversation that a lot of people have, because when you're talking about the ways that you compare yourself to other people, it generally comes from like insecurities. People don't really like talking about that. Talking about insecurities means you have to be really vulnerable and talk about the stuff you don't like about yourself and where that comes from, and it's a lot. I know this is in my own experience, and maybe with a lot of other people, there are times when I have been comparing myself to someone else, whether I'd said, I don't feel as pretty as them, or my life isn't as great as theirs, or whatever it may be. Having a friend or my boyfriend or whoever come back and just say like, oh my gosh, stop, like, I'm still pretty, or I'm still beautiful, I still have this going for me, blah blah blah, and they're just like, hey, shut up, no, you're still great. Which like helps sometimes, you know, it's nice to know that those people still like think highly of you, but a lot of the times I feel like it doesn't go beyond that. It's kind of just like they shut it down by saying, no, shut up, you're beautiful, or shut up, you have a great job, like kind of just like cutting it there, because if you're gonna talk about it, you have to like, you're gonna have to get deep, and that can be uncomfortable for a lot of people. So like I said, I do not have the solution or the great answer or the big way to solve the problem. I can just say that I have started to like try to implement a few ways to like change my thought pattern or like my thought process when I notice these things happening, or like I notice myself spiraling. One thing I've done, I started unfollowing accounts that I noticed myself constantly looking at their pictures and just feeling so bad about myself because I thought they were so attractive or so pretty, or they had like so much going on for them, and I would just get this feeling attached to that account because I'd always compare myself to it, and it got to the point where it's like I wasn't even enjoying looking at their account because it just always made me feel bad about myself. So I just unfollowed them, and that way it can just be easy as that. Like if there's like an account that you notice yourself like comparing yourself to like more than others, just unfollow them. Just cut it off. Like, you don't need to keep looking at that if it's gonna bring up this like feeling and like nastiness and negativity. Just cut it off. Another thing I've been trying to do is when I get in one of those moods where I'm just really feeling bad about myself, I try to focus on the things I'm doing to better myself, such as like working on my health and my fitness. I'm really proud of the progress I've made, and that's not something that I need to discount. So whether I look the way I want to or not, I have been working hard on that part of myself. Another thing I have to do is realize that one of the things that affects the way I look and other girls look is we all just have very different body types, and some people just are gonna look one way, and whether you feel like that's more attractive or not, like that's not really something that's gonna make you feel great about yourself right away, but it's just one thing to think about. It's like, okay, well, it doesn't do much use to just sit there and like kick yourself over and over about not looking like this one specific person, this like certain image. If you realize like the body you have and you're taking care of it the best you can, I don't know, it's, again, this isn't the solution. I'm just saying one way you can try to think about it is just trying to accept like body you have, and if you really are like doing your best to like take care of yourself, I don't mean just like losing weight, but like being healthy and taking time for yourself and things like that, like actually doing things so that you actually feel good. I don't know where I was going with that. Basically, just do you, take care of yourself, and realize that like that's not the only type of body or appearance that can be attractive. It's just I feel like I'm rambling. This doesn't necessarily tie in with what I was just talking about, but another thing, if you are single now and you feel like having a certain appearance or being more attractive in some way either going to get you a significant other, or you feel like once you do start dating someone that those feelings will just go away, that's not true. I've been dating my boyfriend for a little over 4 years now, and I'm still struggling with this just as much as I was before I started dating him. I know that he thinks I'm attractive, loves my personality and everything else I'm doing. I still find myself comparing myself to others and wanting to be liked by other people, wanting to be attractive to other people. Not that I want to be with anyone else, that's not what I'm saying. I've always still had this feeling about like worrying about what other people think about me. I guess that's what I should say. But that was a big thing I had to learn because I had that same thought process too. I was like, okay, well, when I start dating someone, I'm not gonna have to worry about that anymore. Unfortunately, that's just not the case. Maybe for some people it is, and they don't really worry about that anymore. But for me personally, it's still something I struggle with. I'm a human and I have flaws, and therefore, I don't know, guys. To give any kind of tips or advice on how to deal with this, one, like I mentioned before, unfollow any accounts that you find yourself comparing yourself to a lot. You don't need that negativity in your life, whether they're a good person or not. Like, it doesn't matter if you are feeling super down on yourself by looking at those pictures, then don't follow them. You don't have to. You don't need to feel bad about it either. You need to do what's best for you and take care of yourself. And if you're constantly looking at accounts that are just like feeding you with the message that you're not good enough, then don't follow them. Another thing, I heard this on, I think, a podcast from one of my favorite YouTubers. She said that basically we all have this idea that there's like a finite amount of success. There's only so much to go around. So we see these people that are really successful and we start feeling discouraged because we see all the success they have and feel like, well, I can't get there because there's already all these other people and them that like they have all the success, so like how am I supposed to get anywhere? But that is false. If you work really hard, you can be successful too. In that conversation, they're really talking a lot about like social media influencers and YouTubers, which makes a lot of sense because me being so new to this arena, I've had feelings like that too, where I'm like, well, there's already all these really big accounts, so I doubt that this is ever gonna go anywhere. And that's just like a completely unneeded thought to have. And this goes for any career. Success is not a like monetary thing or like a physical thing that gets divvied out to people. Anyone can be successful in their passions or their jobs or whatever they're working hard for. So when you see other people that are really successful, don't get down on yourself because you're not there. Odds are they had to work their butt off to get to that point. Just because someone else is successful in their life doesn't mean you can't be too. I also wanted to say to any other 20-somethings out there that feel like at this point in their lives they should have a stable job or a stable career and a house and financial stability and all this other stuff going for them, and you don't have that. Hi, I'm Caitlin. I'm 26 and I am driving the struggle bus that you may be riding on. I think it is absolutely absurd that we have gotten this idea in our heads that in your mid to late 20s, you're supposed to already have all this crap together and like traveling. The majority of us have a lot of school debt and we're trying to find stable jobs that will pay us well in a job market that's not so great. That's another thing I could rant about, not going off. So clearly, I don't have it all together. I don't have all the answers. I am struggling with this every day, but I have found a few ways that I try to cope with it. I try to focus more on the things I'm doing to better myself, like my fitness and working out. Every time I pay a bill, I'm like, I did it. I paid my bills on time. I will say, try to notice in those moments when you're comparing yourself to someone a lot to the point that you're just spiraling down to that abyss. Try to notice when that's happening and what's causing those things. If it is getting to like an unhealthy point, it's making you feel super down on yourself and like making you think you need to make drastic changes to your appearance or your life or something. Take a step back. Think about like, okay, what am I really comparing myself to? I don't know where I'm going with this. Whether it is to like get healthier or look for a new job or whatever, find ways to take small steps to feel better about yourself, but also try to notice those things that are triggering that like intense comparison that really puts you in like a dark place. Try to cut those out as much as you can. Yeah, I think that's where I was going with that. Again, I am really in no place to give advice on this. I just felt that since I am someone that struggles with this a lot, and I clearly have no problem with just putting all my issues out on the internet, that I would talk about it and hopefully can relate to some of you. It's not just you. Try not to be so hard on yourself. I think that's how I ended my body image video too. If I shouldn't speak for everyone else, I'll say I'm struggling with it too, all the time. I think that's all I'm going to say on that subject. I know this video wasn't as funny or silly as a lot of my other ones are, but I really wanted to talk about this because it's something I deal with a lot, and I just felt like I should put it out there in case anyone else could relate to it, or I don't know. Thanks for watching, guys. Feel free to check out the rest of my channel. I post new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. You can follow me on all social media at its_just_Caitlin, or on Facebook is It's Just Caitlin. All right, guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye.